Hi and welcome to session number 2 of the Acting Classes in Perth blog. I'm Loren, and in this session we explore the difference between casting directors and casting agents. So as it is, at this moment I'm receiving around 260 to 280 emails on any average day. Now I'd make a quick assumption that around 4 to 8 of these emails each day include some incorrect reference to casting directors or casting agents. So let's put things straight. What is a casting director? A casting director is not, let me say that again, I'm going to say it again, here we go, is not someone who represents you or helps you, the actor, find work. A casting director does not find you work. A casting director is part of the film production team, or in the event of a TVC, that's a TV commercial for anyone that's unaware, a casting director is then hired by the advertising agency on behalf of the client. So if you have a TV ad, we call them TVCs, then the advertising agency hires the casting director on behalf of the client, and the client could be any business. It could be McDonald's, or it could be Nike, it could be anything. If it's a film production, like a motion picture, then the casting director is hired by the producer or the production company and the director. If it's a TV series, then the casting director is hired by the network and the producer or the production company. Now, the casting director will contact the casting agents, and we'll get to what a casting agent is in just a sec. And the casting director will contact the casting agents and will ask for all the agents to submit a list of potential actors who may suit the roles available. Now, the casting director will then audition a selected number of actors for each role. And at the end of the audition, the casting director will make a tape of the auditions, put it onto a DVD or upload it onto the internet and send it off to the producer, the director, or in the event of an advertising program like a TV commercial, then the advertising agent and the client will get a copy. A casting director does not choose who gets the role. Let me say that again. I want to make this very clear. A casting director does not choose what actors or which actors get the role. Do not contact a casting director as well and ask for them to put you on their books. They do not have books because they do not represent actors. They hold the auditions. They do not have books. They don't represent actors. They're hired by a production company or by a client. And also, as a side note, they don't take bribes. Tried it. Plenty of actors have tried it. Don't try to slip a 50 the way of a casting director. It's not a good thing. Don't try it. So that brings us to casting agents. What is a casting agent or an agent? Now, we could really break this down, and include within that kind of structure, I guess, an actor's manager, but we're not going to for this particular segment. In a future blog, I will go on to explain the difference between a casting agent and then a casting manager or an actor's manager. But in this particular blog, we're just going to focus on the difference between a casting director and a casting agent. So what is a casting agent? Well, a casting agent is someone who is representing you, the actor, and they help you find work whilst also negotiating for the best rates of pay and also a whole lot of working conditions. They negotiate those on your behalf. They're the business side of the industry, I guess, if you would refer to yourself as the creative side of the industry. There are only a handful of reputable casting agents here in Perth, and I'm not going to list them. I do not want you to harass them. If you were to do one of the courses that we offer, we do suggest to different actors what kind of agent they should approach, if they definitely want to go down that path. Because each agent does kind of represent slightly different actors, whether they be actors of different skill levels or even different kinds of artists. Okay, so that's something that's really important. And I'm not going to break down who the agents are and give their details on this podcast because I don't want them to, have an influx, and I don't want to ruin my reputation with them. So I also hear you asking, well, how do I go about getting an agent? How do I get on the books of a casting agent? Well, most of the casting agents here in Perth will require you to prepare two monologues that you'll need to audition for them in front of them at their office. Now, please remember that casting agents represent a lot of people, and they can have anywhere from 200 to 500 people on their books. So it's really important that they don't always have a spot for everyone. They don't want to have too many of the same types of actors on their books. I actually might do a post in the future on how you can increase your chances of landing an agent, so keep your eyes open for that one. But it's always really important to remember that if you don't get accepted the first time, please remember it's not the end of the world, and by all means you must continue studying your acting, and keep looking out for local short films that require actors, and there are so many young and aspiring, independent filmmakers here in Western Australia who are always making short films. There is an absolute plethora of work for aspiring actors who are looking for experience. Now, most of those roles are unpaid, but it's a great way for you to get your foot in the door and to get some on-set experience happening and to kind of see how a film set works and the whole process. And also remember this, that the student filmmakers of today are the industry directors and producers of tomorrow. So when you kind of get in with them, you're starting to build up your network, and that is really important. You make associations with young and aspiring filmmakers of today. In the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to be getting the funding for bigger projects, paid projects, and that's who you're going to want to know. Now, if you haven't done any acting classes, or you haven't done much training in acting, I would definitely suggest you consider doing a beginner's acting course before you contact a casting agent. They have a lot of people contact them, and you don't want to look unprofessional by kind of rocking up and just wanting to be an actor, but really having nothing to show them or any dedication. So I definitely recommend that you do a beginner acting course before you contact an agent. Now, I want to make one thing really clear. If you are contacted by a so-called casting agent or an agent via the internet or by the newspaper, you see an ad in there saying, we need actors, my simple response to that, 99% of the time would be say no. Okay, because what's going to happen is they're going to be like, oh my God, we love you, we want to represent you, you're amazing, we love your photo. No. They don't know you. You don't know them. They've never seen you act. They've never seen you do any acting. How do they even know you can act? And then they're going to go, we've got some shows coming up, and we've got some TV commercials we want you to audition for. No. They don't know that you can act. You don't know who they are. Reputable agents very, 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 once more, very rarely will contact anyone over the internet or by putting ads in the paper. Do not go with something that is just, it sounds amazing, because remember, at the end of the day, guys, I really hate seeing people, kind of get involved with things that aren't legitimate and getting ripped off. It really, really disheartens me, when people take advantage of anyone who has a passion and a dream, and I hate it. So please have your wits about you. Remember that, if it sounds way good, if it sounds really too good to be true, try to keep clear, guys. Look, I hope that's helped you kind of distinguish the difference between a casting agent and a casting director. Remember, a casting director does not find you work. And also, very importantly, they don't get to choose who gets the role. That's still, the director, or most importantly, the producer, or if it's a TV series, the network makes those decisions. And a casting agent is someone who puts you forward for those roles. And remember, try to steer clear of any so-called agents that contact you via the internet or via the newspaper. Guys, until next time, I hope that you stay safe, and as always, happy acting. Thanks again for listening to another session of our Acting Classes in Perth blog. I'm Loren. Have a great day.